What would you do if you had completely refurbished this piece, had spent days giving it a whole new refinished look, and then while the customer was on their way to your house, you dropped one of the drawers, broke it, and needed to completely fix it? Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. I got this piece for free on NextDoor, and all I saw was potential. Those legs, that nice solid wood leg base, beautiful veneer that was covered in an old speckled dark finish. I just knew that I could give this piece a new life. So I cleaned it off and got to work. I actually quite like this hardware, so I'm going to take it off, clean it really well, maybe polish it up, and I think I'll use it again in this piece when it's refinished. This is an old piece and there's definitely some spots that need repairs, so I'm going to use plastic wood with a natural color finish and make any of those repairs before I do any sanding or painting. Next up, I'm using my Baco wood scraper to remove the top layer of finish or varnish just to see what is hiding underneath. And I think it's going to be a beautiful wood veneer. I removed the base that has the legs on it, and I can see that it is actually a really nice solid wood, and it still does have that weird old kind of speckled dark finish on it, but there's definitely a lot of really good potential. Once I got this outside, I was really able to scrape away at most of the finish and then was able to give the whole top of it a really good sand. When I was scraping, I really tried to not bust through the veneer, but unfortunately, I did bust through the veneer in a couple tiny little spots. That's not very noticeable, but it is definitely something I need to be more careful about. I used my orbital sander with a foam pad on it that one of my awesome subscribers sent me in the mail through my Amazon wishlist. So thank you so much for sending me those foam pads. It definitely makes a difference. It's a good upgrade for these cheaper models of sanders. I love seeing what was hiding under that dark and dingy finish that was really old and outdated. Here are the spots that I busted through the veneer just a little bit, but I'm going to try and cover that up with some stainable wood fill, so hopefully it will blend in just fine. I'm making a couple repairs using wood fill and wood glue before I move on to the next step. Today is an exciting day because I just received something special in the mail. The company Driftwood sent me their QCS, which stands for Quick, Clean, and Safe. It was developed by furniture refinishers, and basically the idea is that it's quick, clean, and safe, that it's okay to use outside, it's okay for the environment, it's effective, and yeah, I'm really excited to give it a shot on removing the finish from this piece. The way this QCS works is that you spray it on the piece that you're working on, you let that sit for 15 minutes, then you come back and you spray on another coat and you let that sit for 15 minutes, and then you come in with a putty knife or with some steel wool and you scrape it or scrub the finish away. So let's see how this is going to work. Right now I'm just spraying on the QCS. They said it's totally safe to use outside. You don't even need to wear gloves. They said it's safe to even pour down the drain. I'm not going to be doing that. But if this works, it's going to be a really big game changer, I think, especially in having a safer, cleaner finish remover and paint stripper. So fingers crossed. Okay, I've let it sit for 15 minutes and I'm just going to go through and spray on another light coat of the QCS, let that sit for 15 minutes, and then I'll be right back to try and scrape it all off. I'm going over it with just like a little scrubber or some steel wool, and it's actually coming off really easily. What I like so far is that it's not messy at all. So whereas with like citrus strip or other chemical strippers, you have to use so much product that when you're scraping it off, there's like so much gunk. And you can see here, there's like a little bit of buildup, but that's just from the finish. So I'm gonna try it again now on the legs. And I'm doing this indoors, which I think again is okay. They said that there's, it's non-toxic, so there's not a lot of fumes or anything like that. But I am using gloves just because I don't like to get anything on my hands, even if it's safe. And again, I put on 2 layers of this, let it sit, and now I'm just scrubbing off with a wire brush, and the finish is coming right off. So once you're done with stripping, you can just wipe everything down with a damp cloth and then wipe it with a dry cloth. And I'm just gonna let them all dry, and I'm gonna paint the piece in the meantime. So I'm using 2 different colors of Dixie Belle Paint, mixing them together to try and make something kind of close to a sage green. I spent way too long at the store trying to find the exact color that I wanted, only to just decide to mix my own. So I'm mixing together Driftwood and Mint Julep. First, I'm gonna try 1-to-1, and then I'll try 2-to-1, test it out in a couple spots and see what I like the best. Using a kitchen scale is a really easy and effective way to make sure that your paint ratios stay consistent when you're mixing your own paint. So right now I'm just doing a tiny amount of each paint to see if I like the ratio, and I'm going to put on a small sample patch. I'm doing 1-to-1, so I'm doing, the same amount of grams of each one on there, mixing it together, then painting it on. And if I like that ratio, then I can just dump in the whole container of each. But if I want to slightly adjust that ratio, I can do so with small amounts and using the scale. So here's what I got. I think I like the 1-to-1 better, so I'm going to get to painting. I did 2 or 3 coats of paint on this. I can't fully remember, but now I'm going through with an artist's brush and I'm just touching up any tiny little spots, nooks and crannies that I missed or didn't fully get covered with paint on my first try. So I'm just touching those up, and then I'll let it dry and get to top coat. I'm all prepped and ready to do top coat, and I'm using polyacrylic in a matte clear finish, and I'm just going to do 2 coats of this. I'll let it dry completely between coats and do a light sand with 400 grit sandpaper in between. Okay, look at this gorgeous wood base. Do you remember how dark and dingy this was before I used the QCS? I think it did a really great job of removing that finish, and now I'm just going to condition the wood with some orange oil and some Howard's Feed and Wax just to shine it up, get it nice and conditioned, and it's going to have a really good natural look. I'm adding Feed and Wax to the legs now too. It looks like on these back legs, maybe I should have done 1 more layer of the QCS just to kind of get off all of that browning finish there. But these are the back legs and it's really not noticeable. And on the front legs, it looks super, super nice, all stripped and covered in Feed and Wax. Let the hardware sit in vinegar overnight and polish it off with some steel wool, and this is what I got. It looks so much better, and I really didn't have to do much, so I'm just putting it back on the piece. All right, do you remember this piece that I got for free and how old and dark it was? Check out that beautiful wood veneer top now. Here was the piece before, and here it is after. I listed this piece for $350 on Facebook Marketplace, accepted an offer for $300, and tried to move it out myself. I ended up dropping one of the drawers. It fell and completely broke apart while the buyer was on her way. She was not too happy about it, but I promised to fix it for her overnight and deliver it to her the next day. So that's what I did. And in the end, I still had a happy buyer and $300 in my pocket and another piece done.